Hello my viewers again and welcome to our channel and the series. So if you've been watching us or you're just new to our channel, welcome. To our old viewers, welcome back. We've been talking a lot about HR topics and we've been also talking about some articles that we would like to share which came across and also that are hot right now and trending. So again, I will welcome back my host, Ike.
Yeah, Ike or Ike.
Ike? Yeah, Ike or Ike.
Thank
He's
you,
very
Shika.
particular about that. And I'm Shika. We are going to talk about a new article that actually came up. And this is to basically talk about how, when as a job seeker, you look into the first things that an interviewer asks you. Walk me through your resume. So I came across this article in an academic journal, Society, and it said, it was written by Marlo Lyons. I will share the link for this article in our section below. But I think let's talk about, what do you think is what that question, what is the answer to that question? Walk me through your resume mean?
Yeah, it's always a tricky question for those who are not really well prepared to. So, and for that particular question is basically asking you to talk about your experiences and try to link that experience that you've had to the particular job role or job function that you're going in for.
So you're trying to say it's not just a formality, right?
It's not just a formality.
It's more of something to do with asking you as a job seeker,
exactly,
to showcase who you are.
Absolutely.
And how you fit for the role, right?
Exactly.
So again, viewers, when you're looking at when you go for an interview, I know everyone has butterflies in their stomach. I think I've had so many interviews in my life, and I still had like 1,000 butterflies form. But every time they ask you, walk me through your resume, talk to me about yourself, they're actually asking you as to who you are.
That's right.
As a person, and why do you feel that job is the best for you? So I would say, one of the key things, and this is what we're going to do, we're going to look into I've summarized it into 3 points, which will make it very succinct, and, key factors that we're going to look at why this is important. So, first and foremost is to get your answer into a 2-minute window. Can you maybe talk about that, Tyke, as to why a 2-minute window is really important?
It's really important because you don't have too much time to showcase what you can bring to the job.
Right.
And when you ask the kind of question, remember always to link it to the experiences that you've had, the skill set that you come with that will help you perform on the job. You're basically trying to tell them why you're the best fit for that role.
Absolutely.
So try to put it within the 2-minute window. Stay focused, stay on point. Talk about your experiences, how they relate to the job function, and how you're the best fit for the role. So, yep.
So I think that's again, that kind of answers a question and comes to my first point, is when you're applying for a job, you have to let the employer see your experience through a magnifying lens. Because, when you're very focused on what you're doing, what your experiences are, who you are, you're not giving them your entire resume. Again, you're not narrating your resume, but you're actually telling them, picking out key points that would highlight why you're good for that job. So first and foremost, identify what are your accomplishments. Talk about your skills from your past roles, and that's directly related. And I think that's what you were talking about, right?
Yep.
Is to align the job with your past and what you've done before. So making it more of a fit. Can you maybe elaborate more on that for our viewers?
Yeah. So link your skills. The skills that you have, what are the skills that the new job that you're going in for actually need? And then what skill set are you coming with? Then how can you link your skill set and convince your interviewer that you're the best fit for this job by, trying to show them what you've done in the past, all the skills you've used in the past, to, and then how you've basically succeeded in your past jobs, and why you're going to be the best fit for this particular job.
Exactly. And then I think that also goes a little bit into career progression, Rather than just listing each task and being very repetitive, I feel that, a lot of employers would love to see what are the tasks which are the most, strikes us out as a wow moment. what have you done out of the box with your last employers? What is the time when you performed the best? You got, say, maybe an Employer of the Month award, for performing your best sales as a marketing specialist.
Exactly.
And I think you can give a lot of examples in that way, right?
Exactly. And then, what are those things, accomplishments that you've had on the other job? Where did you get some sort of recommendation for doing something out of the box, something extraordinary, something related to the job function that you're going for? So those are very key things that you must bring to bear when you have that 2-minute window to talk about your resume.
And I think, at this time you would also like to see, I think we should, advise our users when you're looking at this, you should avoid negative reasons, so things like, I did a lot of overtime, those kind of things which raise red flags. So it's better, to not do that. And I think, again, when you go back to, so this is again going into making, transitions between your jobs. So, for example, I have done 5 years of work experience or 6 years of work experience, but I had 2 jobs. So what happened between the 2 jobs, Did I just jump from one job to another? And maybe you can talk about that as well?
Yeah, and then, from one job, don't always, when you're talking about career progression, it's always good to be very clear how you moved, how why you had to transit from one career to the other. Is very critical, is very important when you're
being very clear.
Very clear. When you're doing your job interviews, you don't want to give the interviewer the impression that you don't spend too much time on one job, that you hop around jobs.
Loyalty, and I think that also goes into retention, right?
Retention, yes, retention, okay, because you want to also assure them that because there's a cost to recruitment, remember?
Yes.
Bringing you in, onboarding you into the system, there's a cost to it.
Budget,
allocation
of resources.
Exactly. And then if
all the big dollar.
Exactly, and nobody wants to bring someone on board, and then after 6 months the person hops to the next job. So
and it's called job hopping, right?
Job hopping.
I think, guys, my viewers, I would always suggest to you, look out for these flags, even as a seeker. Make sure you know what company you're going into. See how they meet, with your goals and expectations. If they are a good fit for you, you will see all that,
And Shika, sorry, one more thing. Sorry to interject. Skill development, skill development and professional growth are 2 very critical things you must make sure that you let your interviewer know as you progress on jobs. Yeah, as you talk about your job progression.
So like when you're like I mentioned, you're talking about employment gaps. Now, if you do have a gap between 2 jobs, try to elaborate that. Try to make them out in the best light possible. So frame them very positively, and talk about why for whether it was for personal reasons you had to leave that job and take a gap for 1 year. So things like skills development, things like certifications, you had to network, you wanted to focus on something, which was it may not be another job, but it might be something on your professional side. And I think this links to personal growth, right? And I think you can also mention a little bit about personal growth. I think we had a class on that, right? We were talking about it a lot with our professors.
Yeah, personal growth is something that your interviewer would like to know. In some organizations, the mantra is that you're responsible for your personal growth.
Yes.
You're responsible for your career growth also.
Good mantra, guys.
Yes.
Take note of it.
Exactly. So some organizations, you have to know the ethos and the ethics of that organization, and if it's one that allows you to personally grow, when you during your interview session, make sure that you explain that to the interviewer.
Yeah.
If it's an organization that prides itself in allowing you to curate your career growth,
True.
You should also, and if there are gaps where you had to leave an organization to go somewhere else to grow yourself, grow your career, also make sure that you let the interviewer know
exactly,
that.
Right. So I think, guys, my viewers, I would advise you again, whenever you're doing stopping from one job and you're switching over to another, stopping one company, you're moving to another company, communicate these things in your resume. Don't let your resume not flow like a river, because it's very important that your employer who's hiring you knows exactly what you've done. So, when, for example, you did a diploma program for 6 months, show it there. show that you completed it, show any great courses that you would have done which are relevant. Because as much as you have to do on the job work, you have to do work which is related off the job. And that's that's where the academics part comes in. These might not be related to your practical use of, say, a hardware like a computer or a printer, but these might be very soft skills that you'd like to focus on. And I think this is what takes direct use for your certifications, like a typing. I know that, if for those out there who are similar in our field of HR, you would like to know how to be an HR administrator, and you need to have a 40 to 50 word count per minute typing speed. So again, these are, every skill that you get out there, my reviewers, always remember, every skill you get is an asset. It is a skill that, employers would love to see that you have in your resume. And make sure that you just let them know that you've done one thing after another. I think you can also give some insight into that as well. I think when you build up your skills, you've done in a double masters. You've done an MBA, you've done a master's in law. So how about you shed some light on that too?
Yeah, thank you, Shika. Like you rightly pointed out, it's always important to let whatever skills, whatever academic qualifications that you have come to light, but not dwelling too much on it, because like I always,
as it's relevant, right?
As it's relevant, and I'll always keep saying this. It's always try to link it to, the skills that you've acquired. Because for everything that you've done over the years, there's a skill you've acquired or skills that you have acquired. How are those skills going to come to the fore to help you in the discharge of the responsibilities if you get the job? If you get the job. So it's very important to know that. Now, how does your academic qualifications also prepare you for the role? It's very important that you also link that. If it's an academic qualification that's very relevant to the role, be very deliberate and sure to let the interviewer know about it.
Something very funny here is when you're, for example, viewers, when you have an assistant's job, right? Your resume may not carry that you know how to make a fantastic cup of coffee. But, when you're working in an organization with, say, 3 or 4 supervisors or your colleagues, just to, say, team building activities, you make a cup of coffee for them or you get them a cup of coffee. It's not necessary. Those are small skills that also give you more reason, to attract you as a perfect candidate. And this might be totally irrelevant, but you can always add your hobbies in conversation. So when you're walking a person through your resume or walking a person through your career, don't focus on the personal aspect, I would say. Try to make it sound as professional as possible. But you can always add a little bit of humor on the side and tell your employer that I love team building activities. I love to, on my spare time, when I'm doing nothing, I love to read books. So it kind of shows that, as an employee of that organization or a potential employee of that organization, you're not only focusing on your personal development, but you're also emulating that energy in the organization.
Yeah. Exactly.
So and then I think it brings us to the last point, and this is something we've been talking about: uniqueness, right? Value to who you are as a person.
Absolutely.
And what sets you apart from, say, 200 applicants?
What's your cutting edge? What's that edge that you have over other applicants? What's that unique thing about you that should distinguish you, and put you ahead of the pack?
Exactly.
In every interview.
And no two people are alike, guys. I think, we all see that. We might find people who we resonate with, but, there are never 2 peas in one pod, they say in English, that are similar. Each pod has a different characteristics. And you notice that when you see it, because our eyes are really strong, we can catch these things. That's what you use. Leverage these tools, because it makes you unique, it makes you special. And then you realize that you're flowing with the rest of the employees in the organization. So,
and talking about uniqueness, Shika, remember the acronym KSA?
Yes, exactly. Your KSAOs. These are knowledge, skills, abilities, and other attributes.
Attributes that set you apart.
Yeah, and sometimes I think one of our professors said this was, the O in KSAOs are not given any preference. trust me, my viewers, that is not correct. O is always given preference to, because your other attributes make up who you are as a potential candidate, as a great fit for the organization. The mantra that goes, which you mentioned, Ike, was there is always a right candidate for the right job, but sometimes you don't find those right candidates out there in the market.
Yeah.
You have to create a right candidate. So I think, my best advice to you is jump and change, tailor your resumes, tailor your experience, tailor your cover letters, tell your audience who you are. And if you spend in that effort, I think effort makes everything a difference. So
absolutely.
Don't you agree with me, Ike, on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And always the one thing that you should always pay attention to, accentuate the positives about your career.
Yes. Yeah. Focus on the positives, never on the negatives, because I think even though, and I think most of my viewers would agree with me on this, is when we look at positives, we say we want to be only showcasing the brilliant side of it. On a personal note, yes, focus on your negatives too, because that's what makes you a better person. That's what allows you to realize that you can receive constructive feedback and criticism, but take it in a positive way. So I think let's talk about that in too, because I feel that's a very, very important part in HR, especially when you're talking about a resume. If you want to showcase the best, yes, but in a conversation with your potential employers, and I think you can add to this, saying in an interview, tomorrow I interview you, and I ask you, what are your best qualifications, or, what is your skills? Now you'll give me a whole list, but at the side, you'll always add that I'm always looking for more knowledge. And I've not used this, but I would love to learn this tool.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So you convert negatives into positives, and that kind of gives the employer a very good, impression of you, and a perfect candidate.
Yeah, and one more thing that I need to add, Shika, is that sometimes also when you try to project your qualifications and your strength, everything that you've done, the skills, sometimes it's good to also add some quantitative aspects to it. So
yes,
for example, data is very key.
Oh, of course, we can't leave that out.
We can't leave it out. If you've done anything and it resulted in some kind of outcomes that carries quantitative outcomes, just why not just let them know?
Yeah, so viewers, use data, use data-driven examples to highlight your experiences. I mean, most of the time, employers would love to see how our viewers and how job seekers take data and convert it into profits. So if you have done a production limit, milestone for your company and your previous bosses, ask them to write about it. Testimonials, put them on your LinkedIn accounts, put them on, in your cover letter. Maybe you can just add it in as a line saying, this is what and quote them, because it's somebody else's words, but quote them saying, my direct employers or my past employers really thought highly of me. And this is visible on your LinkedIn pages, because see, it's always about, and I think I've seen this so many times, like when we've applied for positions, it's not about what you think of yourself, it's what the world thinks of you. How do your employers see you? Look at it from their eyes, look at it from the lens of the new job, right? So I think that's about it for this.
And another
article.
thing, finally, Shika, if there was an internal survey carried out sometime, and then you maybe an auditor and a survey of your work,
all right,
and then the employees in the organization actually just maybe rated you very high, and maybe you scored like 95% in that survey. It's one of the things that you should also, if you, depending on the nature of the job that you are,
that's kind of, I think I won't completely agree with you on that, because I know we're in a very competitive world, and a lot of viewers are not in the high scores, like they don't reach the 90s, because we're not perfect. So we have obstacles, we have deficiencies as people. So my advice is be the best you are, even if you are in a B grade, or and if you've done service where you've done really well in your service, or you've done tests, personality tests, behavioral tests, it only shows you how better you are as a person, but it doesn't necessarily have to show anything to do with being competitive. So that doesn't, I love the point don't take me wrong, but it's kind of when you're looking at scores, then you get into subcategories. And I think this was something we were doing in our courses in recruitment and retention, where it's called a banding score. So or you group people into certain bands, and then those bands get into categories. We don't like that. We don't want to be categorized, right? We want everyone to have equal opportunities, and I think that's a little insider into our next article, but for sure I'll leave it at that for you viewers to think about. And do you want to put any concluding lines to that?
No, the only thing I'd like to add is just to say on a final note, when you have that 2-minute window to sell yourself, make sure you stay on point. Yeah. Make sure you pay attention to your skills, pay attention to knowledge that you've acquired over time in your career as you were growing. Pay attention to the abilities that you have, that you're bringing, to bear on the job that you're applying for, and then the other skills that will also help you. And always also make sure that you research the company.
Yes.
Don't just walk into an interview blinded, not researching the company, organization.
Do your homework, guys.
Do your homework, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
That's a very good point, because again, I think it can go off into another discussion, but let's keep that for the next topic. It's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you, viewers, again for taking the time out to watch us and listen to our opinion on this. The link for the article will definitely be in the description box down below. Like and subscribe us, and do share your views about, if any articles come. Ask
questions too. Yeah. We're ready
Ask
to
questions,
answer your
guys.
questions.
Please, we'd love to hear your questions, and I hope we can, we'll create. Well, if we have a lot of questions in our comments, then we'll create a video with the answers to that, and we'll try our level best to get the answers across to you.
Yeah.
Look out for our next video. I dropped a hint earlier for those who were listening. So like and subscribe. See us on your next video.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.